So, welcome to this week's Qualoupe class. This week we're going to look at creating launchers and your own applications. So I'll show you what I mean by that straight away. In the screen at the moment you can see we've got icons on the Favourite tab, and these are applications. We go to a tab to which we have access, so in this case Administrator, and say I wish to have Companies Manager on my Favourites tab. I right mouse click, add this to my Favourites, I go back to Favourites tab, and it's now been added. But Qualoupe gives you the opportunity to create a custom launcher on here, and what this will do is it will open an application and go straight into a saved search. So I'll demo how that works and you'll get an idea for it. So I'm going to go to Sample Manager, which I've already got open. So say for example I did a query in here, so I'm going to query on material. So we'll say let's have demo material, select. If I now go to load records, when they load, the list here is already filtered by the query by example terms that I typed in, so these are only demo materials. If I go to saved searches, you can see that my demo material has been translated into a query for the database. So it's telling me material TFS ID is 3v1 and the spec TFS ID is 3v1. So in other words, that's what the database needs to see to bring back demo material. So I can save this search. So I'll go save search, demo material. Okay, so what I can do now is I'm going to cancel this for now, go back in again. There was a reason for doing that, which I'll show you in a moment. Saved searches. If I click on demo material, now it's giving me double because I'm already searching on this. So I'm going to clear that, load records again, saved searches, demo material, there we are. So it's material contains 3v1, spec contains 3v1. So what I can do now with my saved search, if I look at some of the other searches I've got in here, I've got material contains the word fruit, or status contains penned. In other words, it's only going to show me the pending samples. Let's take that one. In our saved searches we have a create launcher button, so if I click on that, it's going to create me a custom launcher which is going to be put on my Favourites tab, and it's going to be based on this search. So by default it tells you it's going to launch the Sample Manager, and the name of the search is pending, so you can edit this. So I shall type in here pending samples. And of course you can edit the entire thing, but I'm not going to on this case, so I'll just say OK. So if I cancel the load and go back to my home page, oops, perhaps I need to refresh this. There we are. It has now created a shortcut. So it's telling me it's going to launch the Sample Manager and it's going to be pending samples it shows. Of course you could have named that whatever you liked. So if I click on this, it's now launching the Sample Manager. It's going a bit slowly and it's going to preload that query. So if I scroll along here we can see status text is pending, so it's done what the search said. It has just loaded pending samples. So if I just say all confirm selection, it takes me to those samples. I'll go back to home page. So the point of the launcher is if on a regular basis you log into, for example, the Sample Manager and you want to see all the new samples that have been created that require your attention, or all the samples for a particular customer, or all the samples of any particular status, or any query you can think of, instead of going to Sample Manager running your query, building your query up and running it, you can create a little shortcut. So you click on that immediately and it takes you to it. So this is the first thing. Now I'm logged in as myself here. If I was to log in as another user, this is not going to be available because it's a launcher just for the current user. I've logged in, I've saved my search, I've created my launcher. When I run Qualoupe, I get to see that, but other people don't see it. So there is a nifty shortcut to allow you to create the same thing, a launcher with a saved query, which will be available for selected people. So in other words, if you're the Qualoupe administrator and you wish to create a handy shortcut for your technicians to use, perhaps someone's entering results, so you want them to run Sample Manager with a query that finds all the samples for a particular instrument or something like that, then you can create the launcher like this, and then you can use that to create an application that all the users can see. So what I'll do is I'm going to launch that again. It's just going to take a little while to run, I think. So here it is again with my pending samples. At the top we have the URL, in other words the web address of this this launcher, and it's got SS in the address for saved search and an internal ID. So if I highlight that and click on Control-C on my keyboard to copy it, if I go cancel load, back to home, this is just taking a moment, and into the application manager, here's all our normal Qualoupe applications, but you've got the ability to create a new application. So if I click on new, I might call this pending samples. I'm missing a D. Pending sample. My typing's not so good today. Now in the application URL, you could put in anything that can be launched from a browser. So for example, you could put in a Gmail address to launch internet mail like Google Mail, or you could put in your company website, for example, or your local intranet. It's something that the browser's got to be able to run. Well, we know that the browser will already run our saved search, our launcher, so if I paste that in, then when this is saved, this is going to create me a little icon which is going to launch Sample Manager and preload my pending samples saved search. So you can set an icon for this. So again, if I have a little browse in here, you get a list of the icons that are available, and these are all the standard sort of icons. So I'm just going to choose Sample Manager icon. If you wish to have a custom icon of your own, you can do so, but you need to put it on the server in with all the rest of the images so it's available to Qualoupe. You could alternatively put in an HTTP absolute reference to a published icon somewhere on your website, for example, if you wanted to. Anyway, I've chosen the Sample Manager icon. Here it is. And similarly, if there's some documentation to go with this, if that's available to the browser, so for example, that's published somewhere, you can click on the help file URL, and I don't think there's anything to look up there, but we could look it up or type in. Again, it's got to be a relative address so that the browser can find it, but you can put in a help file which will launch and give you more information about the application that you're launching. So I'm going to save my changes. I'm going to make it available to the administrator role, but obviously you could make this only available to certain roles. So you could create shortcuts for your lab technicians for various samples at various stati, that sort of thing, and just add them as applications. So I'm just going to save that again, and then I'm going to go back to home. Because I added this on the Administrator tab, that's where I'd expect to find it. I can't remember what I called it, oh dear. Oh, there we are, Pending Samples. I recognised it by the icon. So it's used the icon I want to use, I selected, and it's put the little search on it. So again, if I click on this, it should be the same as the launcher. It should take me to the Sample Manager and preload, same thing. So again, if we scroll along, you can see Pending Samples Only. But in this case, because I've assigned it to the Administrator group, I'll go back to home, it's available to anyone who's a member of the Administrator role. And so you can see how, as a Qualoupe administrator, you can say, well, it would be convenient to have a Pending Samples link that everyone can click on. So I don't have to explain all the searching to them at the moment. They can just have a quick link, intuitive link to click on. So you can set one up by first creating a launcher, copying the URL from the top, go to the Application Manager, paste that in, choose your icon, give it a name, and away you go. So that's all I'm going to cover in this. It's taken us about 11 minutes. So thank you for looking in on this class this week. I'll be available for questions afterwards if anyone has any questions, and speak to you next time. Bye.